Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Kevonni. Today we're going to be talking about Nickelodeon. Since we're talking about Nickelodeon, I had to put on my Nickelodeon gear. Hold on, wait a minute. Yes, I had to put on my Rugrats shirts, and my Rugrats pants. Anyways, I just want to show y'all because you know I love me some Rugrats and I love Nickelodeon. I grew up on the Nickelodeon. So if you're a 90s baby like I'm a 90s baby and you black like I'm black, we're about to get into it. So back in the day when we was growing up, I feel like there was a shift from the 90s into the early 2000s into the 2010s where there was just like a decrease of black shows. So I did a little bit of digging to see if what I, felt was indeed true. So here's what I found. So just a little background information on Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon launched back on April 1st of 1979. So Nickelodeon ain't too old, but she's like middle age. She's giving middle age-ish. And it originally aired in Columbus, Ohio, and then later on, few years later, it went countrywide, I believe, in my research. Y'all, I've been researching it. I started researching this video like 6 months ago. It's a long story, don't worry about it. But I believe that the network was originally called something else. It wasn't called Nickelodeon, but it was bought by another company, and later on, the name was changed to Nickelodeon. But for me, I have a special bond in my heart for Nickelodeon because the amusement park where I live in Virginia, it used to be called Paramount King's Dominion. It's just called King's Dominion now because Paramount actually sold King's Dominion, and the kids park of King's Dominion was completely Nickelodeon themed. I used to go a lot when I was a kid, where I had season passes and all that stuff. I don't go that much now. In fact, King's Dominion was actually my very first job. I got a worker's permit when I was 15, and me and my friends, we all worked at King's Dominion together. We were all separate, but it was a good time. Just going into the theme park, I'm going to insert some pictures just so you guys can see what it looked like. It was decked out in Nickelodeon. The Chick-fil-A was called the Wild Thornberry Cafe. I believe it's still Chick-fil-A, and sis was still closed on Sundays. But like how at theme parks they have the people dressed up in the costumes and all that stuff. Same thing there. We had Dora and the Rugrats, of course. SpongeBob Patrick, Blue's Clues. I mean, it was so long ago, I can't even tell you all the people that dressed up in costumes and stuff. But girl, that was my jam. By the time I started working at King's Dominion, Paramount had already sold the park, so I didn't get to see any of that stuff when I was working there. But it's near and dear to my heart. Also, back in the day on Nickelodeon, representation was on point. The diversity was very much there. It was very much giving. So let's talk about the shows that were on Nickelodeon in the 90s going into the early 2000s, and kind of my thoughts and opinions on the turn of events. Well, that's not even a turn of events. No, I don't think that's the right word. But kind of the progression of the channel and what I think happened. So back in the day, we had all that, and from all that, there was spin-off of Good Burger, right? Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Period. Okay. And also, the theme song was sung by TLC. It was giving very much the culture. Also on All That, they had tons of musical performances. They had all the black artists. I wrote down some of the people that performed on there. Maya, 112, Outkast, Destiny's Child, just to name a few. We had all the girls, all the guys, it was very much poppin'. All That was poppin'. Like, they recently revamped or relaunched the show. They relaunched All That a couple times. This is the second relaunch of the show. It's not the same. It wasn't the same the second time they relaunched it. For me, it'll never be better than the original. And from All of That, we got Kenan and Kel, of course, because who loves orange soda? Me. I love orange soda.
I do.
The theme song of Kenan and Kel was done by Coolio. I feel like nowadays these shows that come out, they really don't be having like artists that are out now, doing theme songs like they did back then. And then speaking of artists doing theme songs, then we have Cousin Skeeter, which was sung by the group 702. Now, if you're young, you probably don't know who 702 is, but 702 was a trio like TLC. Speaking of Cousin Skeeter, have you guys watched Harlem on Amazon? If y'all haven't watched that show, of course, Megan Good, she was one of the main characters in Cousin Skeeter, and she was like the secondary character, the blah, 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 blah. If you're watching this, you've probably seen Cousin Skeeter, but I don't know what the main character, I don't know what his name is, but him and Megan Good both play in Harlem together, and they did like a little Cousin Skeeter reference. It was cute. Loved Cousin Skeeter. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Like, it was just a thing. You had to be there. Then we have Little Bill. We're not gonna talk too much about Little Bill, but Little Bill, it was cute for its time, but we're just gonna go past it. And Just Jordan, which came out in the early 2000s, 2007. Y'all probably don't remember this. If you remember this, you are real OG. You are OG for real. How many people remember the Nick Cannon show? You had to be there. Nick Cannon had his own show on Nickelodeon. Funny story. So Nick Cannon came from All That. Was Nick Cannon on All That? Hold on, I got to Google this one. Okay, yes, so Nick Cannon what? Oh Lord, I didn't hit the camera. Shaking the table. So yes, Nick Cannon was on All That. I couldn't remember, but so Nick Cannon was on All That, and then Nick Cannon ended up getting his own show, the Nick Cannon Show. And when I was younger, I thought that Nick Cannon owned Nickelodeon. And if you guys remember, Nick Cannon was the chairman for Teen Nick. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like, I really thought that, like, that man owned that network because his name was Nick Cannon and it was called Nickelodeon. I thought it was a play off of his name. Like, child, was dead wrong, because Nick Cannon should be a billionaire if he owned Nickelodeon. Also, Nick Cannon was a kid, but I was a small child. When this was back in 2007. I wasn't like a super small child, but small enough. Let's see. The Nick Cannon Show came out in 2002. So I would have been 10. I didn't know no better. And then we have The Romeo Show, Gullah Gullah Island, Taina, and True Jackson VP. So that's kind of a rundown of 20-ish years of TV shows. And for real, it's not even a lot. But I do want to do an honorable mention for the Brothers Garcia. It wasn't a black show, but it was a show with some people of color in it. And I really liked that show. It was a good show. And Rocket Power, once again, not a black show, but people of color. I rocks with it. I say all that to say there was just a lot of diversity within Nickelodeon back in the day, and I feel like there was a transition from Kenan and Kel to Drake and Josh, and from all that to the Amanda Show. It's giving very much, we're gonna whitewash everything. That's what it kind of seemed like happened to me. And even with like Jackson VP, it's not even an all black cast. It's like one or two other black people on the show besides Keke Palmer. And by the time True Jackson came out, I really wasn't that into it because I was in high school, about to graduate and all that good stuff. It just, watching Nickelodeon was not my vibe. But at that particular moment, iCarly was out. From iCarly to Victorious, and then Sam and Cat, Cat and Sam, whatever the name of the show is. And that's kind of the era that happened after True Jackson, or around that time leading up into that particular era. And with me doing my research, so currently on the roster, there's like 2 or 3 predominantly black cast shows. One of them is Tyler Perry's, of course, Tyler Perry is on Nickelodeon too, huh? Tyler Perry's Young Dylan, which premiered in 2020, and That Girl Lele, which premiered in 2021. There is a show called Cousins for Life that premiered in 2018. But as of April 6th of this year, Cousins for Life has not been canceled or renewed for a second season. So the show only had 1 season. I don't know what's going on with that, but the kids, they're cute, and they're probably hit puberty by now. Because it looked like in the first season of the show, they look like they were middle school age kids, like 10 or 11 years old. And if that is the case, 3 years have passed by, so they're probably like teenagers now, I would imagine. So it's no telling like what they would look like now. I mean, I could Google it, but I'm not going to. That's like not my era. It's not my jam. Real quick, I just want to talk about Taina. Taina was kind of like a mix show. Like, there were black characters on the show. Like, the friends were black. But Taina is Afro-Latina or some type of Latino, Latinx, something. Very much something.
Something, very much something.
But once again, people of color, I felt like I could relate to Taina. I really loved that show. I loved when 3LW was on there. That was one of my favorite episodes. Actually, when she was singing in the bathroom, and then she was in the group, but it wasn't called 3LW, it was called something else. I don't know. But anyways, Taina, the whole, I think it was 2 seasons. It's 2 seasons of Taina. The whole thing is actually up on YouTube. I'll link it down in the description box if you want to go back and watch the whole entire show. My girl ain't get justice. They prematurely canceled her because the show was giving. It was giving everything. I don't know my job, but it was giving everything. So what it kind of looks like happened is it went through an era where they was just giving little black boys their own show. Starting with Nick Cannon, and then Romeo got a show, and then Jordan got a show. So Nick Cannon show came out in 2002. It looked like it only lasted for a year. I don't know how many seasons, but it came out on January 12th, 2002, and it ended on February 22nd of 2003. And Nick Cannon went on to be very successful and do plenty of other shows. And then the Romeo Show came out September 13th, 2003, and it ended on July 23rd of 2006. And then the following year, Just Jordan came out January 2007, and it ended April 5th of 2008. So that was just like a whole little, they was just replacing him. They was just like, all right, let's give another little black boy a show. We didn't cancel Nick Cannon, let's go ahead and give Romeo a show. Then after Romeo ended, it was like, all right, let's replace him with Just Jordan. And then there was nothing after that. Then I guess technically after Just Jordan ended, they was like, let's give a little black girl a show. Then they had Jackson VP come out, which came out on November the 8th of 2008. And it ended on August the 20th of 2011. So at that point, they was just being very consecutive with keeping a black show on the air. Then after that, it was no concern of them, of Nickelodeon, to keep the coloreds on the air. So from, like I said, Jackson VP was not a primarily black cast. So after Just Jordan ended in April of 2008, the next primarily black TV show didn't come out until 2018, which was Cousins for Life. So that's a whole decade that they did not have a show with a primarily black cast on it. And like I said, within this time period, we have iCarly, Sam and Cat, Victorious, and some other shows that I cannot name that kind of are in the same like universe. Like all those shows are in the same universe. They have the same feel, the same aesthetic, and all that stuff. It's just very interesting how things have changed so drastically from them being so diverse back in the 90s when diversity wasn't even something that was talked about, to now where it seems like they're trying to be more diverse, and that's great. I don't know, of course, you know, over time all these things they change hands as far as like executives and vice president. So somewhere along the lines, maybe in the beginning, it was in the 90s, it was in whoever the executive was at the time, it was important to them to have diversity, because of course, like, all that wasn't like a primarily black show, but it had a whole lot of characters on the show that were different races. It's just interesting. It's just something to look at. It's something to think about. I do want to do a video on Disney, but it's not going to be pertaining to diversity and like blackness on Disney. I didn't mention those shows on this list, but a lot of the shows growing up on Nickelodeon had at least a black character, like the Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, the Rugrats. Pretty much all the shows that had characters that were humans, they had at least one black character on the show. Normally it was just that one black character. Yeah, the ones I'm thinking of, they all just had that one black character, the token black the token black girl. And speaking of the token black girl, I'm gonna have to like insert her here, but the person that plays Susie Carmichael, she was the token black voice back in the 90s and then in the early 2000s. She literally played every black character on every show. What do you guys think in regards to the change? Did you guys notice the change in the black shows and how they were kind of phased out? Also, what was your favorite show growing up on Nickelodeon? Yeah, no, that's what I have for you guys today. So, if you like this video, of course, give it a thumbs up. Also, hit the no, that's what I just said. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you want to hear more commentary from me. Also, you guys can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you want to support me as a content creator, you guys can buy some merch from me from my website, KevonniCouture.com. Yeah, that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.